everybody to our Ayurveda talk. I am Marie, an Ayurvedic health practitioner. And today we are going to actually talk about something that is shared. If you were ever to learn yoga, you would learn about the different layers that make up who we are. They're called the koshas. And we're going to talk today about the layer, the causal body, which is the layer of the soul. And we're going to talk about that is because it is our magnetic force. And it actually has three different layers. There's so much to say about it. It is our deeper identity in life. And it is that the soul is basically the part of us that the ego is covering up, and our beliefs and our identities and all of that. The soul is that deeper part of us. It's who we really are. And it is our maybe higher self, you can call it that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how yoga and Ayurveda have a big crossover with this. And Ayurveda is always going to be similar as far as like the principles that we're using in yoga. This is how I got introduced to Ayurveda. I was doing an advanced yoga training and they introduced the Ayurvedic principles. And I just really, it kind of woke me up and made me realize, oh, this is so logical. It's so logical. It makes so much sense. And that's because the Ayurvedic principles are aligned with nature. They're aligned with the universal laws. They can only be that way. So if we're looking at the soul directs all of our activities in the universe, and it is our natural intelligence. It is the part that is able to have union with every other part of life, every animal, insect, in all of nature. It's that part of us that connects. When you go out on a hike in nature, you feel like you sink into a part of yourself that is part of all of the surroundings, and that's your soul. So the primary force of the soul, or the force of the will and motivation, is for its creative power to be expressed. So the soul's creative power is here to be expressed, and the soul is going to rise up out of our desires and aspirations, and where we start to experience our challenges in life. That's where our karma shows up. So karma, you'll hear people say karma. It's your samskaras, it's your challenges, it's what you came into to work out, to understand. So the force of will, the soul possesses that magnetic energy, which we talked about, and it draws us to whatever we truly wish is in our hearts. And we are at a time right now where being in our heart center, if you listen to the information that I listen to, I love Joe Dispenza, I love listening to Aaron Abke, I love all that stuff. And they'll talk about heart coherence and that we need to shift out of the ego. It doesn't mean we reject the ego. We become friends with the ego. We recognize this is what the ego is. This is what the ego is telling me. And that is not the truth. And then we move into our heart and we start resonating there. And that is when you connect with this deeper part of you, your soul. So when we connect with the soul, you move into what they call your spiritual heart. And the source, it is our source of true knowing, truth, and true feeling, like where you really feel deeply the truth about something. All right, so there are three powers of the soul. There are three basic powers. There's the life, there's the light, and there's the love. Okay? The light, the life, the light, and the love. And from this is our ability to perceive. So, and then also to move and to feel. So the soul will be threefold. The the will to be, the will to see, and also the will to be happy. This is the truth about who we are. This is how we move through the world, and then we cover it up with our beliefs, with our samskaras, which is our challenges, and all of it gets covered up with what the ego is telling us. When we start getting triggered or tweaked about life, because we this is why I always tell everybody, if you are hating on somebody, it means you are hating on yourself. If you are like, I meet people that will say, and here's a perfect example. I have a person in my life that I'm very challenged with, and I don't even know her very well, but she has done some very, very hurtful things, very hurtful. And I've spent years having hatred towards this person. And the truth is that I know that this person is so deeply insecure that she would have done it to somebody else. It ended up being me, right? So I spent years saying prayers for her and at the same time hating her. And it just doesn't work. I realize now that I have to understand what my part is in it. It doesn't make it any easier because it involves my children and it involves my family. And, when you're a mom, I don't care what anybody says. We are biologically meant to be a mother bear. So if somebody hurts my children, I get activated and I want to stand up and be mother bear and protect my children, no matter how old they are. It doesn't matter. You're always a mom, no matter how old your kids are. And this is a person that was brought into my family, not by our will, and she has hurt my children, hurt me over and over and over and over again. And so what happens is I have completely lost sight of my soul's true purpose as a result of all of that. It has consumed me for over a decade. And I'm now ready to just not be there anymore. And so what does it mean? It means that I have to sink into the power of my soul. I have to call upon my soul to say, okay, take the reins. I surrender. I surrender to a higher power, and my soul is the part of me that is going to be able to connect with that, because it's my soul that has a higher purpose. And then I will be able to be, I will be able to see, and I will also be able to be happy. And I can't be any of those things if I stay stuck in my samskaras and stuck in my karma. It doesn't mean that I deny that. When it arises, I tell myself, okay, here it is, front and center, in my face. And, I can call people and say, and what I've realized over the years is that doesn't always help either. I think you should have a person that you talk to. So from the three powers, this magnetic force that the soul generates, so the soul is generating our life, it's generating our love, and it's generating our consciousness. And the powers of the soul, it then gives us these three innate desires: to live forever, to know absolute truth, and to feel perfect happiness. That's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal. Why do we want to practice Ayurveda? Because we want to be in alignment with the right diet, with the right lifestyle, according to our constitution and dosha, so that we can know these truths. Why do we practice yoga? Same reason. And we use our yoga appropriately. We don't go out and do hula hoop yoga. goat yoga, all these people that are doing hot yoga. By the way, it was like 90 something degrees here today. Hot yoga is not appropriate this time of the year. It's pushing Vata out of balance. So we want to listen to our soul's desires. What do we really need to know? How can we really serve myself, ourselves? And only your soul knows that. Only your soul. So you have to become a part of that. So the magnetism is first, and it's the power of life and the magnetic power that connects us to all of life and makes us feel alive. It's what breathes us and moves us. I always say this to my clients. It is that part of you, that vitality, your soul, is through the breath. It comes in through the breath and it animates us and makes us alive. This is why if you aren't breathing correctly, and pretty much everybody that comes in, unless they're a regular, they're not breathing correctly. I have to release everybody's diaphragms. I have to help get the tension out of their gut, because we carry around our life challenges. We carry around our traumas. We carry around our sadness. We carry around the heaviness. It's stuck in our body. And then we go through life and get triggered, and we are not in alignment with our heart's desire. We can't align with our heart because we have no space for our soul, for that vitality to be there. So that's why breath is so important. If you have shortness of breath, it's telling you, I am carrying around my life's traumas in my body. I'm carrying it around. That's why Marma is so effective. So the second thing is the soul's magnetism is the power of the light. And this is why I tell everybody, you are really a light body. Your physical body rests inside of your light body. That is it. In the light body is where we experience insight, wisdom, and understanding. So when you let your body just rest in the light body, that's what starts to happen. That light starts to attract and magnetize your mind to it. Become aware. There's a meditation out there called the sound vibration meditation. It's really just allowing you to be inside that light body and experience it. So the light, so then that's why we're all attracted to the sun. We need the sun. We need the light. Okay, the third thing is the soul's magnetic force is the power of love. It compels us to love all creatures, to love life. Love is the most powerful magnetic force of all creation. This is why it's so important. If you have hatred going on, that's not hatred out here. We think it is. We think that we hate the president. We think that we hate this. We think that we hate that. The truth is that hatred is inside of us. Those people outside of us can't fix it. That's just a projection. So you have to go within yourself and learn about the power of attraction. It's the truth. So I am a magnetic force. That is what my soul is. And I want to allow my soul to guide me so that I am attracting to my soul the light of who I am, the life of who I am, the love of who I am. And that's all in there in my heart's desires. So the three powers of life, light, and love are the soul's reflection of the higher consciousness and bliss, the threefold higher self, divine self, the absolute. And from this arises energy and light and matter as the main forces in the physical world. So it's a beautiful thing to contemplate, and it then takes us into learning about the three vital forces, which is the prana, the tejas, and the ojas. Those are the vitality, the valor, and the endurance. That's where that takes you into those forces. And that's a whole nother thing. Like, I always tell everybody They go and they take a weekend course in Ayurveda and they learn about the doshas, and then they think they know about the doshas. And then you have to learn about the gunas, and then you have to learn about these forces. And there's so much more to know about and to understand. And then even below those forces is the elements, right? It all is going to boil down to the elements, and that's what's behind the active elements of air, fire. So air, ethers together, fire, water, and earth. Those are what's making up those doshas. And there's these beautiful forces going on. And what we choose to align ourselves with is going to be magnetized and bring to us. But align with your soul, guide through your soul. Let that be what guides you. And right now, because we are in summer and Vata is being pushed out of balance, we really want to bring ourselves into more silence, into more contemplation, into more stillness. So it's a really great time to go in and connect with your soul and really listen to what your soul's and your heart's desire is. What is it? And start journaling. Help your Vata calm down, settle down, because Vata's always got this movement going on, mentally, physically, emotionally. It's got all this movement going on. It's being pushed out of balance because of extreme heat. So we want to settle it and calm it down. And you do that by having these practices where you connect with your soul and you connect with your heart. So that is what our talk is about tonight. I know it's a little bit unusual. I'm usually talking about some sort of ailment, but we can talk next week about another Vata imbalance that might be showing up for you, because remember, first part of summer, what gets pushed out of balance? Vata. Then heat starting to accumulate, and then Pitta gets pushed out of balance. Okay, so that's our talk for tonight. I'm so glad you are all happy. You are all here, and hopefully you are aligned with your happiness and your soul. And that is what we want. And we're going to use our practice tonight to do that as well. So we are going to start out by connecting with our heart.